Okay, so we have our templates, all the files created. We have a nav bar. All right, so now we're going to move to the next section of the template, which is going to be this area. Okay, ultimately we're going to have this image slide in, but we're not going to do that till the end of the chapter. We're just going to kind of do the markup in just the static image. All right, so basically this is going to be a section. All right, so let's go ahead and go right under where the nav bar ends, which is this div. All right, and we have this sample content here. We can actually get rid of this. Okay, so from container to container. All right, and now we're gonna open a section tag. Now, we're going to have different section styles, basically varying in background color. Okay, so this will be a style. I'm going to call this section default. It's going to have the grayish background. This blue background, this is going to be section primary because it's basically the primary color of the template. This will be default. Okay, so basically we'll have those two styles for sections. So I'm going to call this section default, and this is also going to be the showcase. So I'm going to create a class called section showcase, and I forgot my class. Alright, so inside here we're going to have a container, because if we don't have a container class or a container div, then it's going to span the whole way across, all right, no matter how big, and we don't want that. We want the text in the image to be contained inside of the, I guess, the main wrapper. So div class container, and then in the container we're going to have a row. Okay, because we're going to use the Bootstrap grid system. Alright, and if we go to get Bootstrap and for the grid system, basically we have a 12 column grid, alright, and we can set divs to be a certain number of columns wide. Alright, so for instance, this first one, we have 12 one-column divs. Alright, so content would be extremely small if we were to use that. Next here we have an 8-column div and then a 4-column div, which is very common for a main content area and a sidebar. Here we have 3 4-column divs. Alright, and here we have 2 6-column divs. So no matter what, they have to equal 12, unless you get into offsets and things like that, but we're not going to do that. And here's the HTML. Okay, so it's very simple. For this first one, we have a row and we have 12 one-column divs. Here's the 8 and the 4-column div, 3 4-column divs, and 2 6-column divs. All right, what we want is, we actually want this here, 8 and 4. Okay, because if we look at the final product, this is going to be 8 columns wide, which is the text and list, and then this is going to be 4 columns, which is the image. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and paste that in. Okay, and we just want to remove this text. And you know, using a grid system, you don't have to do any floats manually, so I highly suggest using grids. If not Bootstrap, then maybe 960 or Foundation. There's a lot of different frameworks that can give you grid functionality. So let's start with the 8 column, which is going to be the text area. Alright, so we're going to have an H1 tag, and it's going to say clean techie template. I don't know, I just thought of anything just to put in there for a placeholder. And then we'll have an H2 under it. All right, and the H2, actually let's just put the text in first. I'm just using some sample content from lipsum.com. H2, and then we're going to have an unordered list. Okay, and what I'm going to do is just throw some text in there, some filler text, sample text, whatever you want to call it. Alright, so if we save this and reload, okay, so that doesn't look very good. So what we want to do is turn this into this using CSS. So first thing, let's look at the H1. Actually, you know what? Before we do that, we need to style the actual section. We need to have the background, we need to add some padding. So let's do that first. So we'll go to our style sheet and go right under the nav bar. And first I want to add the default section styling. Okay, notice I didn't put a dot or an ID here. This is going to style the actual section tag, so they're all going to get this style. And basically I'm just going to say padding on the top and bottom, 30 pixels. Okay, and I'm going to say overflow hidden. So that'll apply to all sections. Alright, so let's give our H1, so section H1, which will be our heading. We're going to add a margin, 30 pixels top and bottom. Alright, so now we want our class of section default. I'm going to add a background to that, and that's going to be F7, F8, F7, and we need that. And then might as well do the primary as well, so section primary. You don't need to use these class names. It's just what I use. I like to use default, primary, and secondary, usually for my colors. So this will have a background 406 C96, and we want to make sure the color is white because it's going to be on a blue background. And we'll save that and then reload, and now we have that default background. Now one thing I do want to do is the headings, I want to change the font to railway, like the navigation. So in my style sheet I'm going to go up top here, and we can get rid of the starter template. We don't need that. And let's say H1. Actually, we're going to do all our headings. So H1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, we're going to use this font family. And I want to change the color to blue. And that should do it. I also want to change I want the default link color to be blue as well. Alright. Okay. Now for the H2, you can see we have this blue background. So what I'm going to do is add a class to that H2 tag. Where is it? H2. I'm going to add a class, and I'm going to call it highlight primary. And then we'll go to style, and let's see, we'll put this right under our other headings. And actually take away the H2 because this can be applied to anything. So the background will be that blue color, 406 C96. The color of the actual text will be white. I'm going to add padding, 5 pixels top and bottom, 25 on the right and left. I want to display inline and give it a line height of 60 pixels and a border radius of 5 pixels. Save. And there we go. Alright, so next we'll do this list. And I want to add icons. You can see in our final product we have these icons here. And those come from Font Awesome. So let's go to HTML and this unordered list. Now I'm going to give this list a couple classes. Okay, I'm going to give it the class of list feature and also a class of margin top 30. Now some developers don't like or say that you shouldn't use something like this, margin top 30. Basically, obviously you can probably tell that this is going to be a margin top of 30 pixels. And the reason for that is you may want to change this to 40 pixels and you already have it hard coded as margin top 30, so that wouldn't make much sense. But I tend to use classes like this. I think it helps. It clearly says what it is, and you know, if I have to change to 40 pixels, if I have to come and change the class names, then that's what I have to do. But it's just preference. You could use something else, but I like to use something like this. So let's go to, we'll add that margin right here under the body. So margin top 30, margin top 30 pixels. And then you can create other classes like margin top 40, 50, and so on. And the list feature I'm going to do down here at the bottom. So be list feature. And we're going to do a few things, actually not to the list feature itself, but to the list items inside of it. So I'm going to set list style to none, which is going to get rid of bullets. Set the line height. I'm going to set that to 2em. Padding, top and bottom 5 pixels. And then font size 18 pixels. Okay, so we'll save that. List feature li ul class list feature. Oh, I didn't save that. Alright, so I just realized that we don't have the correct font for the body. We want to use that Open Sans that we included. So up here at the body, font family, Open Sans. Alright, let's try that. There we go. So we need our icons here now. And in the, I think it was the second section, we looked at the Font Awesome website. And basically, if we want to use an icon, we want to use an I tag with a class. And you want to close that I tag. Okay, now, actually, let's just go back to Font Awesome. Okay, so what you need to do if you want to use one of these is had the class of FA and then FA dash whatever your icon. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so the first one we're going to do FA and then FA chart. And let me just copy this. Okay, so we get chart, and next will be FA desktop, then FA database, and FA light bulb O. And you can find these class names on the Font Awesome website. So save. Okay, so something. Oh, I'm sorry. The first one should be bar chart. And FA database, that should work. A light bulb should be spelt correctly. Okay, so what I want to do is I want these icons, if we look at the other one, I want them blue and a little bigger. Alright, so, and also I want to add some margin to the right of them. Alright, so let's go to Style, down at the bottom. Okay, so first we're going to do all icons, which will be FA. And I'm going to add a margin right of 10 pixels, and also change the color to the blue, 406 C96, and you need to have a number sign in front of this. Okay, so that'll apply to all icons. Now I want to, actually I'm going to change the size to, let's see, font size. If you want to change one of these icons, you just need to change the font size. And I don't know, let's try 12M. I think that'll be too big. Much too big. Let's try 6M. Still way too big. Alright. Let's try 2M. Still a little big. 1.5. There we go, that's good. Alright, so that side's done. Now all we need to do is on the four column div, we need to add that image. So let's see, we're going to go right here. Image, src, I think it's called imac.png. Okay, so obviously it's the default size is much too big, so we need to make that smaller. And what we're going to do, I'm not going to set a fixed width. I'm going to set it to 100%, because what that's going to do is make it 100% of its parent div, which is the 4 column div, so it's only this big. So let's do that. So I guess we should go to it's in the section showcase section. So let's say section showcase image with 100%. And there we go. So that's the showcase area. Next we'll move on to, we'll do this section primary area, and we'll set up this. We won't do the animation in the next video, but we'll set this section up, and then we'll do the footer as well in that video.